It's my privilege to introduce our second speaker. Dejeshwini is a talented Chennai-based artist and illustrator with over 6 years of professional experience, bringing her vibrant creativity to life through various artistic forms. A BCom graduate who chose to follow her passion, she uses her art to evoke emotions, spark nostalgia, and connect with her audience. Her diverse portfolio includes children book illustrations, hand drawn brand assets, and innovative projects that celebrate the magic of storytelling and imagination. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Dejeshwini as she shares her insights and adds another layer of brilliance to our exploration of the cadence of creations.
I just hope everyone had a very good morning today. So I am Dejeshwini. I'm an artist and an illustrator. Thank you so much for the introduction. It was so lovely. So whenever I introduce myself that I'm an artist and I'm an illustrator, people have the questions like, what artists do, what illustrators do. So a little bit background of the kind of work I do. So I do wall art. This is an illustration which could be used in restaurants and office spaces, which would make the entire room brighten up. So these are all the children's books and editorial designs. So I'm a children's book illustrator as well. So these are my published works. I create mascot designs wherein these are the characters which represents the brand. I rarely take brand collaborations and commission art as well. Character designs and storyboarding for films. This is my favorite because I get to visualize the entire script, dissect into skeletal versions of how the picture would be taken in form of films and represent it for pitching purposes for directors. So this is my journey as an artist. Despite being a BCom graduate, I wanted to pursue my passion for art because I felt, in this world full of competitions and complications, I thought playing by our strengths is vitally important. I know that I'm good at art, but not good in math. So why can't I follow my passion in becoming an artist? And I became one. It's been a glorious 6 years of my career as an artist. And today I'm going to share some of the insights that I had over the past 6 years, wherein I'm a self-taught artist. And self-taught artists, we see every opportunity as a learning experience. Whatever we come across, we take that as a learning opportunity and try to learn something from it. So, when I was invited to give a talk on Confluence 2025 on the topic patterns in creation, I could not contain myself because, well, why wouldn't I be happy to share the insights I have? Because art fascinates me, and I think it will be a thought provoking one for you as well. So, what patterns are? For me, I believe patterns are a mere fact or truth that represents itself over several times that never skips to deliver the same result. For me, that is what patterns are. They repeat themselves and give a same result. So, patterns could be divided into objective patterns and subjective patterns. This is according to my knowledge. So, objective patterns are nothing but a set of solutions, formulas, or rules that is well stipulated and laid down that you cannot skip to use it in your creation. Okay, that is objective patterns. When it comes to subjective patterns, they are truths and facts. Truth and facts changes from person to person, and that's why I categorize it into subjective patterns. Say, for example, there is this T-shirt and a night lamp. If someone is asking me to, could you please design this, what kind of a solution that I would come up with? So you see this. the red spiral and the green dot, right? That is nothing but a design solution. This is what I would use to design the apparel and the nightlife. So this is an objective pattern, which is we create one design solution and use it repeatedly over several other objects to create the same design. That is an objective pattern for me. And subjective patterns is quite different. We can also categorize them into, say, behavioral patterns. Like in psychology, there is behavioral psychology. So here, let me explain that. I am happy whenever I see a puppy. Me liking a puppy is the truth. And I'm getting happy when I see a puppy is the result. So this is a subjective pattern of a person, a characteristic trait, which we can read that person's future behaviors as well. See, not just a puppy. If I see a person who is wearing a t-shirt and he's wearing, and there's a puppy in the t-shirt, I may like that t-shirt as well. And my liking may not stop only there. The patterns would widespread across my liking. For example, as I like puppy, I am kind towards animals. I could be kind towards animals, and I may join myself in. I may help the people who are doing this. The service for saving animals. I may also join myself in that group. So this is how a person's patterns could be. So that is a subjective patterns. So based on the objective patterns and subjective patterns, we can join them together, and there are furthermore patterns that give rise into. So I'm going to explain those artistic patterns that is there, which could be categorized into objective and subjective patterns. And they are categorized into 1, 2, and 3 because that's how I see them. First is the pattern of 3. So when I was watching this movie, I also asked the same question. Professor McGonagall asks the 3 friends in Harry Potter, she asks, why does when something happens, it's always you 3? Like, why it is 3? Specifically, there could be 4 friends, there could be 2 friends, but why just 3? Well, there is some significance around the number 3, I guess. Omnitrium perfectum may sound like a spell that just jumped right from the Hogwarts, but it is not. It is a Latin phrase which means whatever comes in 3 is just perfect. Why 3 is perfect? Do you also know, of course you might know, that predominantly in any contest, there will be 3 winners, first, second, and third. And people would say, third time is the charm. Why third time is the charm? I know it could be a very simple way of saying someone that third time could be a charm. But there should be some significance to why just 3, right? And have you watched the movie Aladdin? In that, genie gives only 3 wishes. He's a genie, he's a magical guy, right? Now he could give 4 wishes. Or it could be even stingy to give 2 wishes, but why 3 wishes specifically? There should be some significance for it. Oh, it's perfect. Because number 3 is not just more, or it is not just less, but it is balanced and enough. That is the significance of number 3. So this is a small example for it. In traffic signal, there are only 3 lights, which clearly states and it gives an instruction that red stop, white, if it is yellow, you have to wait, and green means you have to go. I was thinking, why not there's just 2 lights, red and green, you stop and you go. Or why not 4? Like stop, wait, anytime now, and then go? Well, that doesn't make sense to me, because if there is 2 lights, red and green, it wouldn't give people to prepare themselves, it wouldn't be an alert for them, so that the green would come and have to go. The time wouldn't be there if there's just two lights. And if there is like four lights, it's too much of waiting. That makes people a bit lethargic. Pedestrians might cross a bit late, so someone might have thought three instructions is enough to coordinate people. So three is not more or not less, but just balance, and it is enough. The patterns of three in creation. The first one, whenever we teach people how to create art and drawing, the first thing that we would say is there's this three shapes, right? These three shapes makes up the entire world. Could you believe if I say this? But this is the truth. If you take any object that is there in the world, it can be broken down in three objects. I see sun as a sphere, as a circle, and I see the mountains as a triangle. And you know the strand of my hair? That is a cylinder, which is a combination of a sphere and a cuboid. So, any object in the world can be broken down into these three shapes. Red, blue, and yellow are said to be the primary colors with which the spectrum of colors was created. And this is something, a foundation that every artist would know. And I thought this would be a befitting point to add here. The rule of thirds, one of my favorites when it comes to composing an artwork. So the rule of thirds states that the four intersecting points you see, right? That is the sweet spot. If you are creating an illustration, or even if you're taking a photograph from your camera, if you just take up the camera, you can see these guidelines in that. So the point is, if the subject falls in either of the 4 points, then the picture would turn out to be so balanced, and it will have great clarity to it. So these are the two illustrations that I made. If you see how the rule of thirds works here, in the picture that is there on the left, you can see the subject just hitting the right sweet spot. And here, if you see, the top 2/3 of the illustration is, we are showing only the light. In the bottom, the girl and the people who are there in the market are shown, just to create the differences between the two subjects. Here, if you see the lights, that is the hero here. Like, we have to show how massive and grandeur the lights are. So that is occupying the 2/3 of the illustration, and the subject to be in 1/3. That is the rule of thirds. So next time you're taking a picture of someone else, just bear this in mind so that they might get happy. Patterns of three in creation, the art of storytelling. Be it storytelling, the story that you are telling to someone, or sales pitches, or any sort of presentation that you are doing, it will always carry some sort of a story in it, okay? So when you create a story, the story will always be having 3 parts: a beginning, middle, and the end. A script will always be written in 3 different ways, because that's how a compelling story can be made. So these are the patterns of 3 in creation that I know, that I come across, that I want to share with you today. Now we are going to see the patterns of 2. So we just saw the pattern of 3 to create harmony and balance, right? It is not more, it is not less, but it is well balanced, and it's just that. But when it comes to the pattern of 2, it is about opposites. It's like you versus me. It's always you and me. We both are distinct, but we have to be together. I will give you an example for this. So this is, I was sitting with my husband the other day on a couch, and this is actually a picture that is hung up on the wall, a wedding picture of ours. And I was telling my husband that, you see the saree that I'm wearing in it, it is just not perfect. It is crumbly and it's not perfect. I was telling him because it's one-time thing and it is just rude when it looks imperfect to me. For that, he told me, so there is this rice cooker in your kitchen, right? So this rice cooker, you see, it is well rounded and it's so complete and full. But you see, there's a small hole on top of it. Isn't it making so imperfect? Now it just lost the wholeness. Well, I said no, it is the air relieving valve. It just lets the pressure out so that the rice cooks well. The hole has role to play here. The cooker wouldn't be called as a cooker without the hole, without the valve. So the cooker is dependent on the valve, and the valve wouldn't have the role to play if it is not placed on the cooker. It is like yin and yang. They are distinct, but when they are together, they will make a whole. That is the beauty of the contrast, which is the pattern of two, the contrast. You see, lightness has no meaning without the darkness, and darkness would generally appear whenever there is light. They are inseparable, and that is the contrast that I'm telling here. Everybody have in their lifetimes, like everybody have their high points and low points. But whenever you see a person or a friend, you would say, I had this much of problems one day. I was feeling so low and down. But then I accomplished it. I came out of it and I achieved this. That is your high point. So the high and low points of your life, the contrast in your life, what gives you the rich life experience and a story to tell to everyone. That is the contrast that is there in their life. When it comes to music, it's always, we can understand that there is high notes and low notes when it comes to music. And that forms a rhythm and that gives up a melody. Just like our lives and melody, even in art, the lightness and darkness in art, the contrast will make a very good picture. For example, this is the same illustration that's there in the black and white. So if you see, the visual contrast is quite evident here. See the wall is dark in color, and the window is light in color, and the subject of focus is dark in color. So the rhythm here is dark versus light versus dark. That is how the picture is composed to give the clarity and visual interest. So the contrast in visual is this. Now we see the contrast in subjects. So the contrast in subjects states that when two irrelevant or opposite things are just brought together, we could not expect anything but interesting plots. That is what the contrast in subject would give. So there's two character traits here. For example, this one, the left-hand side, there's a cute child. Child like a character trait, okay? All bubbly and happiness. On the right side, someone who is not so happy. That person is having a very angry trait, okay? So for example, on a happy note, there's a clown. This clown is bound to make people happy, right? We may not know the clown is happy, but he appears to be happy and he makes people also happy. That is his role and job. On the other hand, what if this clown is combined with a person who is not so happy or likely to induce happiness in anyone else? What kind of a story can these two cook up? A story that someone cannot forget. That is the beauty of contrast here. These two I definitely cannot forget and hope you also. Another example. What if a cute cooing baby, okay, a cute bubbly cooing baby which is so adorable to look at, is left with a bounty hunter. A hunter who kills people for bounty. He is a merciless killer. What would happen if you just leave a child with such a man? It will create a wholesome combination. So this is a Mandalorian from the Star Wars universe, which is my favorite. And if you see the relationship of these two guys, it will be wholesome. This is the beauty of contrast in subjects. Now let's move on to the pattern of one. So this is not a solution or something, it is a phenomenon that happened to me, and I would just like to share that with you. So in 2022, I created this illustration wherein this boy is going to a petty shop to buy something. Okay, this is my story. I have frequent visits to petty shops and other shops, and I created similar kind of illustrations which tell story from my childhood, which I felt it could be nostalgic to people as well. So these were all the illustrations that I created, and I named this entire series to be called as Simple Shots of India. The idea is to bring up how simple the lives were during the early 2000s and in 90s, how the kids were growing up. This is how I was growing up, visiting the market and drinking juices in stalls and buying bangles. This is how I was spending my life when I was a child, and I was drawing that. To my surprise, this series took off. I'm still getting compliments for the kind of illustrations I did. Though the illustrations are pretty, I know they are pretty, but it was a huge success. And I was pondering why it is a success, why people liked it so much. I was thinking so much, and I just learned that I may unintentionally or accidentally did my role as an artist so well. So I'm not glorifying what I did was good or great. I'm just telling I did something accidentally and what went right is what I want to tell, so that others will also follow it and do the same. So what is the role of an artist? A role of an artist is observation. First, they observe the chaos. They observe things that is so unorganized. Okay, they are very much of observers, and what they observe, they try to put it in a form of an organized way, and they try to express what they observe. This is the role of an artist. They observe unorganized, have a vision, and they express in an organized way. That is the role of an artist. When an artist of that kind creates an illustration, which is born from sheer observation and vision, then it is bound to attract people. Then it is bound to draw the attention of the people. That is likely a phenomenon to happen, which happened to me as well. And the expression needn't be art alone. It can be a painting, music, sculpture, dance, literature, or any sort of a verbal expression, be it oration. It could be anything of that such. So it's so needless for me to say that the world has seen so many great leaders who were born from sheer unorganized, chaotic situations. They did saw a vision from it. Not just they had a vision, but they expressed it to people. And that inspired people. And that unified people. For me, art does the same. Though the intentions are different, but I see the pattern to be the same with these two. And that is art. Art attracts people. Art unifies people. For me, that is the pattern of oneness. This is the pattern of 1, 2, and 3 that I know and that I would like to share today. Before I bid adieu to you, thank you so much for having me today. And just remember, observation, vision, and expression. This will make you an artist because you have a voice, you have an option to be expressive because art lives and thrives in all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that insightful talk. Your exploration of the connection between these patterns in art and creation, and just the whole concept of these patterns occurring individually, occurring in pairs, and occurring in groups of 3 was extremely interesting. Now, I'd like to invite our registrar, Commodore S.R. Sridhar, to felicitate Ms. Dejeshwini with a memento as a token of our appreciation.